And a good morning to you. Welcome inside the bottom line here. Hump Day Wednesday, thunderstorm Wednesday, thunder and lightning rolling around us. I just pulled up the radar, and it's just south of us. It's kind of moving northeast, and looks like we're going to get it. The majority of it, the really ugly weather, I think moved through Charlotte just a little bit ago, and they're still getting some rain down there. So just keep that in mind if you've got to go in that direction to head to work this morning. Could be a little ucky-yucky down there, so just keep that in mind. Juju will join us via telephone, and we recorded this a little bit earlier this morning, and I'll have that for you, as well as Bill Bender will join us about 8:30. I got a short topic I want to get into here. I've kind of tried to figure out how I want to position this, but I think it's something we need to talk about. The targeting calls from the Monday night game. If I'm not mistaken, there were 4 targeting calls. I understand the severity of it. You do see offensive players that lower the head, hit with the crown, and they're not called. They're supposed to be called, but they're just not called. So I got a little question about that. I just want to kind of see what you guys think about it as well. Also, the rankings are out from the weekend, and I'll give you those. There's been some movement. Of course, you would think that there would be. But what we look like there, Alabama still number 1. Georgia jumps up from number 4 to number 2. Ohio State moves from – I'm sorry, Georgia was number 5. Ohio State moves from 4 to 3. Oklahoma drops 2 down to 4. That was against Tulsa, folks. I'm not sure about that. Texas A&M jumps up 1 to number 5. I think that's the team to watch. This may be going to surprise some folks. My Tigers dropped to 6, and they should be thankful for that. They only dropped 3 slots down to number 6. Cincinnati moves up 1 to number 7. That's the highest-ranked Group 5 team that we've got in the rankings. This is the AP. Notre Dame's up 1 to number 8. Iowa State drops 2 down to number 9, even though they won. Iowa jumps up 8 to number 10, and they play this weekend. Iowa State is this weekend, if I'm not mistaken. Penn State jumps up 8 with the win over Wisconsin in Madison. They're number 11. Oregon drops 1 to number 12. Florida is yet to play. Southern Cal moves up 1 to 14. Texas jumps up 6 with their win over the Ragin' Cajuns. Okay, I'll take that, I guess. They're number 15. UCLA was not ranked up until this week. They're 2-0. They move into the top 25 at number 16. Coastal Carolina, they move up 5 spots to number 17. They play Kansas down in Conway this weekend. Wisconsin drops 6 after that loss to Penn State to number 18. Virginia Tech moves into the top 25. They were not ranked after the upset win over Carolina. They're at number 19. Ole Miss, with their win over Louisville on Monday night, they jump into the top 20 at number 20. Utah moves up 3 to number 21. Miami drops 8 down to number 22. They take on App State this weekend. App State will be down in Miami for that matchup. Arizona State is up 2 to number 23. The Tar Heels just about dropped out of the top 25. They had the biggest slide as they fell 14 slots as the Tar Heels dropped to number 24. Auburn is number 25. They were not ranked last week. NC State, if you go outside that top 25 with those that are getting some votes, NC State would be number 27. Central Florida, 28. Liberty, 29. LSU, they fell out. They would be at 30. Michigan at 31. Others receiving some votes. The Ragin' Cajuns picked up 12 votes. ACC team Boston College picked up 8. Maryland, out of the Big Ten, picked up 6. Florida State picked up 4. I was more impressed with the Florida State win. I would have given them a little bit more. App State got 1 vote for the week in the rankings. The teams that dropped out of the top 25, LSU dropped out from number 16. Indiana dropped out number 17. Washington dropped out number 20. Louisiana, the Ragin' Cajuns, dropped out from number 23. In the coaches poll, your Charlotte 49ers got 1 vote. So that was a big win for them over Duke, however you look at it. Milton, good morning. Richie, good morning. Glad to have you guys. Richie said if lowering the head and leading with the crown is illegal and the penalty, it should be illegal on both sides of the ball. It is. You just don't see it get called. Richie also said NC State could see top 25 with a win over Mississippi State this weekend. I agree. They've got to go there, so that would be a big win for them. Florida State would have gotten more had they beaten Notre Dame. Still a really good game. I felt that was a really good game. Sometimes you have to look at the competition and all the other things that go into it to make that decision. I'm just not sure about that. Let's see what else we got. I want to talk about the crown. Sometimes the officials have been told not to read anything into the play. Sometimes I think you have to. Or do they change this? And, we used to have, was it clipping? We had 2 different calls for clipping. There was a 5-yard call and a 15-yard call, depending upon how it was or what it was. You've got running into the kicker, a 5-yard versus roughing the kicker. Should you have a 15-yard penalty on a player with a crown, with a hit with the helmet, and then the second one they get removed from the game? Sometimes I'm just not sure. I know you want to err on the side of caution, but I'm just not sure that we're making the right call and being fair to everybody involved. I didn't have anybody playing that had that call on them this weekend, so it's not that I've got a personal agenda in it. I'm just not so sure that you have that. I think it needs to be looked at just a little bit closer. I think we're getting just a little too aggressive with those. Could be wrong. As I said, Juju's going to join us, and also Bill Bender's going to join us at 8:30. Let me go ahead and take a quick break so I can get Juju in here, and then we'll come back and get ready for Bill to come up about 8:30. I appreciate you joining me here. Watch the weather. It's going to be a little bit ugly this morning. Back in a moment.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with auto owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver, or visit MooneyInsurance.com.
Times convenience stores are more than convenient. They're your neighborhood store, your store. With locations in Lincoln, Catawba, Gaston, Iredell, and Mecklenburg counties, there's one near you. Times convenience stores have the right items at the right price, from snacks, cold drinks, and light meals from the grill, and there's always a special to save you time and money. Times has what you need. Times convenience stores, there's one near you. Regardless of where you're going, there's one on your way. Remember, there's always time to stop by Times. Have you thought about when you would like to retire? One of your major assets is planning for retirement is time, and you lose a little of it each day. The longer you wait to start accumulating capital for retirement, the harder it's going to be. How should you plan for retirement? Start by calculating approximately how much capital you will need at retirement, and then estimate how much you will have to put away each year. Finally, carefully choose the investments in which you will invest. Stiefel Nicholas can assist you. Call 4 Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stiefel Nicholas, member SIPC, and the New York Stock Exchange.
First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Whether it's a sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily, or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
In the best of times, no one is more deserving of every opportunity, encouragement, and support than the youth in our communities. Parents, teachers, coaches, and sponsors struggle to stretch their budgets to continue help. Communities need a team effort. Times Oil Corporation, a longtime member of the community, established the Times Educational Alliance Mission, or Team Foundation. Since 2011, over $125,000 in grants have been donated in the community. Times Oil and the Team Foundation are proud to be community partners.
And welcome back. Glad to have you here this morning on a Hump Day Wednesday. Not quite as cool as it's been being. I'll take 69 degrees, but I like 59 degrees better. I'm joined now on the phone by our good friend Juju Phillips. Good morning to you, sir.
Lanny, good morning to you. And if you believe the weather people, the 59 degrees coming this weekend. I believe.
Well, we had a taste of it, and I just want a bigger taste of it because I really, really like the cooler weather, and I'm kind of ready for it. Anything going on in particular in your world, sir?
Well, college football obviously is right at the top of the pecking order of things that we're very interested in. And I'll focus just a little bit on Division II college football. Yesterday, the rankings came out for Division II, and all the same suspects are at the very top. West Florida is the defending national champion, and they beat an FCS school over the weekend, which was pretty much of an upset. And they're still the number one team, and Lenoir-Rhyne remained at number 6. They started the season at number 6. They won big in their opener, 58-7, as they won over Virginia State. So the Bears come in at number 6, and the teams that are ahead of them are all big state schools. And for Lenoir-Rhyne, it's surprising that the fact that now 20 consecutive weeks, Lenoir-Rhyne has been in the top 10 in Division II football. There's no other private school in the country that has that kind of record. And the Bears now 32 weeks overall in the top 10 since the American Football Coaches Association started putting their polls together back in the early 2000s. So, that's good news for the national rankings. But the Bears, they're 1-0 on the season. Lanny, I was looking ahead to the playoffs and watching a little bit of that game on video. And if Lenoir-Rhyne wants to contend for a national championship, I firmly believe if they want to have home games like the games that you and I saw and broadcast, that West Florida game a couple of years ago in the quarterfinals, the Bears are going to have to win out. If they lose any games, because they only have a 10-game schedule this year, and if they lose just one game, the Gulf South teams that play 11 games and are all nationally ranked, like West Florida, Valdosta State, now West Georgia, they're probably going to beat each other up a little bit. But I can see one of those schools with a tougher schedule, if they have the same record, the team with the tougher schedule, and that would be Gulf South, I could see them getting a home game when the quarterfinals or the playoffs really matter. So, that's one thing I was looking at over the weekend that LR's football team idle. Usually you hear about, right, Lanny? You hear about teams improve the most between the first and the second week of the season or the second game of the season. Well, the Bears now, after winning big over a pretty good Virginia State team, they get a week off. And
was that scheduled, Juju, or is that something that there was a game that they got postponed or canceled out of?
Yeah, they had a game scheduled.
Okay.
They had a game Fort Valley State.
Okay, I thought there was.
Yeah, and Fort Valley either backed out or got a new team. They got a money game.
Okay.
Put it that way. They got a money game, and then they dropped Lenore Ryan, and the Bears for about 6 months now been trying to find a team to play, and they haven't been able to do that. So they're going to take an idle week, a bye week on the second week of the season. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but anytime you're playing 10 games in Division II football, you almost have to really win out and go undefeated. And you can win your conference, but you got to win out and go undefeated if you think you want to get home games when the playoffs matter.
You know, you look at it, Juju, it's going to almost be a month and a half since the beginning of the season before the Bears get their first home game.
Yeah, it's going to be the end of September, September 25th, I think the first
correct.
home game is. And they go on the 18th, after this weekend, they go to Newberry to open their conference season, then come home for their home opener on the 25th. So, yeah, that's going to be a long time. They started practicing in early August, and they're having to wait until the end of September. And I don't know if that's adversity or not. You always like teams that have toughened up a little bit, have faced some adversity along the way, be it either injury or COVID or whatever. You like to have those teams. And, you know, when you're looking at the playoffs, and I can go back a few years ago when LR finished undefeated in 2014, they didn't play a really tough non-conference schedule, and they weren't really tested during the season. Playoffs came around, and they got bounced in the first round by Valdosta State. So it just depends. I think if you're looking at a playoff team, high school coaches probably can think of the same thing. If you're tested and battle-tested during the regular season, you feel pretty good about your team going into the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Talking about rankings, big shakeups in the college football rankings in Division I. Of course, Alabama sits on top. Georgia jumps all the way to number 2 from number 4. Ohio State moves up a slot to number 3. Oklahoma drops 2 after they struggle with Tulsa. Texas A&M moves from 6 to 5. That's the team I think you've got to watch this year. My Tigers drop back to 6, and I think they're fortunate to only be back at 6. Non-Power 5, Cincinnati jumps up to number 7. Notre Dame moves up a slot to number 8. Penn State, I thought that was a really close game, but they made 8 spots up in that game against Wisconsin, but a true really good opponent. Iowa made an 8-slot jump, and Iowa State dropped 2 to 9. Those two play this week, if I'm not mistaken, which is a little unusual this early in the season.
Yeah, man, it's one of the good games this week, usually in the second week, and you see it a lot.
Not good games.
Yeah, not good games. There's a lot of the money games, teams going, Western Carolina goes to Oklahoma, Mercer out of the Southern Conference goes to play Alabama. But a little bit of a jump. Penn State, you're right. They go on the road and beat a Wisconsin team that I didn't think. Now, Penn State's defense looked pretty good. I didn't think, and I watched that game.
I did too.
I didn't think Penn State's offense was all that fantastic, and neither was Wisconsin's offense. I think both teams' defenses dominated early. Maybe, for some teams in the Big Ten and for some schools this early in the season, the defense is ahead of the offense. Penn State lost a bunch of tough games in the COVID year last year, and it was just a mess of a season. Pretty much the same for Wisconsin. Maybe this is the year that Penn State challenges Ohio State for the Big Ten championship. We'll have to wait and see, but that's a good start for them to win on the road against a tough Big Ten opponent.
Yeah, and Penn State has made a huge overhaul in offense as they're now doing the air raid offense, which is completely out of character for Penn State, but James Franklin feels like that's the direction they need to go in.
Well, I mean, that's probably a good thing this early in the season, but when it gets to be November and December and Happy Valley gets to be really cold and windy and snowy, I don't think the air raid offense is going to be all that great. But we'll have to wait and see on that. But, that's kind of the popular thing to do, and either that or run with the Mississippi offense did the other night, was they spread everybody out. I saw it. I don't know if you watched that game, Lanny, the Mississippi game in Louisville. I thought the way that Mississippi ran their offense, it was like a triple option offense that was only spread out. I mean, they threw it around the field. They ran the ball. I mean, it was up-tempo. I saw linemen hustling up to the line of scrimmage, guys like that. You just don't see that as much in major college football, and they're going to give some teams some trouble.
Well, that's a Lane Kiffin adjustment, I think. And also, I watched it till I got a little nauseated because it was bad. It was ugly early. Questionable targeting calls. I think that's something that needs to be looked at. I don't want to take anything away from the severity of that, but I think it needs to be looked at. Back in the rankings, Ole Miss, with that win, who was not ranked, move into number 20 this week, and Virginia Tech, with the upset win over Carolina, moves into the number 9 slot that were not ranked, and the biggest one that was not ranked that moves in. How about UCLA, all the way in at number 16, was not ranked going into last week.
And they're now 2-0, right?
Yeah,
They beat the first game of the season against Hawaii, and beating an LSU team. And I don't think anybody would have thought that UCLA could beat LSU, even though it was a road game for LSU. For them to win, and I don't know what that says about UCLA's program, how far it's jumped under Chip Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw some of the highlights of that game as well. They have the same kind of offense that Mississippi runs, Lanny. They run that high up-tempo, get up to the line of scrimmage, only wait 10 seconds in between plays, and that's going to give some teams some trouble. And it definitely gave LSU some trouble as well.
The other non-Power 5 team, big jump this week into the top 20. Coastal Carolina moves up to number 17. I'm trying to think. They have got a big game this weekend, I think. Let me look here right quick, pull it up. No, they play Kansas. Kansas is not exactly loaded, but for a team like Kansas to come into Conway, South Carolina, that still should be a pretty good game, but they move up into the top 20 at number 17. Miami drops 8 slots down to 22. Big game against App State this weekend. And then Carolina, the biggest dropper, almost out of the top 25s. They slide all the way down to number 24. That Miami and App State game, I don't know that they can get anything done. We'll see. App State got 1 vote in the rankings outside the top 25. NC State got 69 votes. They would be at number 27. Liberty would be at number 29. LSU would be at number 30. The only other teams of note, Florida State picked up a few votes, and Boston College, I think I would give more to Florida State than I did Boston College. I'm just not impressed up there.
Yeah, and I think Louisiana dropped out too, didn't they?
The Raging Cajuns?
Yeah.
No, they dropped out of the top 25, but they did get some votes. They got 12 votes. They're like in the low 30s.
It's going to be interesting for Appalachian. I think with App State, in watching that Miami and Alabama game, Miami's defense didn't play all that bad, but their offense was just horrible. But if they take Appalachian lightly, there might be an upset brewing down in South Florida. I could see that happening if they take them lightly. If they don't, then Miami should win handily.
And Miami should be better than that with the Eric King back. That offense should be clicking because there's not been a major change in that offense, or am I missing something?
No, it should be much better than it was. Again, it was early September. September 3rd, what was it? Whatever it was. It's just early. And, some teams just take a while to get things going. Other teams don't. But you're right. They should be better. They probably will be better. Maybe they'll take it out this week on Appalachian State. Maybe, Alabama's defense is not that bad. They're pretty good as well. But I looked at Miami's defense. They gave up, 40-some points, 400 yards of offense. When you look at Alabama's offense, that's not a whole lot to give up. I mean, you throw out the numbers and you say, oh, wow, that's 40 points. But they held, the parts that I watched, to me, Miami's defense held Alabama a lot of times on first and second down. It was just a matter of execution for the Crimson Tide. They 3rd down and 6, 3rd and 9. They completed a lot of passes and executed on 3rd down conversions, and that kept drives alive and eventually touchdowns. Miami's defense just simply couldn't get off the field. They slowed down Alabama, but their offense could not get anything going. If they play like that defensively against Appalachian this weekend and their offense gets going, then the Hurricanes should win handily. If they don't, take Appalachian for granted, then it's going to be an upset city there.
I think one of the things to watch, I told you I was Bryce, not taking anything against away from Bryce Young quarterback for Alabama. I need to see a little bit more because of how the quarterbacks are surrounded at Alabama. If I'm not mistaken, this weekend there will be 3 former Alabama quarterbacks starting or playing in the NFL. That will be interesting to see because then there's a whole lot more on the quarterback because usually you don't have the same tools around. The only one that I can see being successful, and the only reason I say this, would be Mac Jones because he just went from Alabama's offense to Alabama's offense and structure and organization in New England because it's a system. Much like Alabama is. And a quarterback that has the ability to go into that kind of team can probably be successful. But I'll be interesting to see how the other former Alabama quarterbacks turn out. And like with Bryce Young, it's a whole different world when you're a quarterback for Alabama.
It is, and because you have, as you said, the system, but you also have the most talented guys.
NFL players around you.
Yeah, all around you. Linemen, backup linemen, wide receivers, anything you don't have basically is tight end, but you have running backs. I was surprised that Alabama they didn't run the ball. There's just one thing. The part that I saw against Miami, they did not run the football with the kind of effectiveness that we saw. And again, their running back is now the first-round draft pick of the Steelers, Najee Harris. So they're going to, for them to be very good and get to the point they want to get to and beat a Georgia team, okay, they're going to still have to run the ball a little bit, give a little bit of a threat. They ran for less than 4 yards an average against that Miami defense the other day. And again, it's early in the season, but I would think they're going to have to find a couple of running backs to tote the rock if they want to be more of a balanced offense. You just can't throw the ball around the lot against good football teams, college football teams, and expect to win and win big.
No, you're exactly right. Anything else, sir, before I let you go?
No, let's hope we get some high school football games in this weekend, right?
Yep.
All the games last week were postponed. Let's hope we can get them turned around and ready to play this week.
I just know it's way too early to be talking about that. It's only Wednesday. I mean, the shakeup will come on Friday, I guess we'll say. Juju Phillips, we appreciate your time, sir. Miss you in the studio. Talk to you again next week.
Thank you, Lanny. As always, we'll talk to you later.
Thanks, buddy. We'll take a time out and be back with more here on The Bottom Line. Have you thought about when you would like to retire? One of your major assets is planning for retirement is time, and you lose a little of it each day. The longer you wait to start accumulating capital for retirement, the harder it's going to be. How should you plan for retirement? Start by calculating approximately how much capital you will need at retirement, then estimate how much you will have to put away each year. Finally, carefully choose the investments in which you will invest. Stiefel Nicholas can assist you. Call 4 Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stiefel Nicholas, member SIPC, and the New York Stock Exchange.
First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Whether it's a sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
In the best of times, no one is more deserving of every opportunity, encouragement, and support than the youth in our communities. Parents, teachers, coaches, and sponsors struggle to stretch their budgets to continue help. Communities need a team effort. Times Oil Corporation, a longtime member of the community, established the Times Educational Alliance Mission, or Team Foundation. Since 2011, over $125,000 in grants have been donated in the community. Times Oil and the Team Foundation are proud to be community partners.
I was asleep at the wheel. I didn't have my volume cut down on my bumper, but that's okay. We're back. Thanks for joining us here on a stormy Wednesday morning. Let's go to the phones and catch up with our main man from Sporting News, Bill Bender. Bill, good morning.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
I'm good. We talked before we went on the air. My Tigers stunk it up a little bit. They've got some adjustments to make. That's always been my concern with Dabo a lot of times. Sometimes I don't know that he comes to the realization that some things need to be changed, and not going to be much competition when South Carolina State rolls into Clemson this weekend.
No, and they got beat up front. Offense struggled. Obviously, it was against an elite team, and now they're going to face the season-long narrative of, are they going to play anybody, and do they deserve to be in the playoff if they go 12-1? They can't let that be a distraction. Mm-hmm. They've got to go out and execute, get better. I think DJ will get better at quarterback. They faced a really good defense, and it was just stunning to me how badly that they got beat up front and the inability to run the football. When they only had one rushing yard at halftime, you're in trouble any level of football when that's going on.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, the bright spot was the defense. The defense got a little suspect last year, but seems to be much better this year, and that was a good showing against Georgia. But still, they've got some issues to fix. They don't really have any top-tier talent that they're playing. And, one of the ones that maybe was going to be a contender inside, or at least give them some competition, was going to be Louisville, and they just got humiliated, I thought, on Monday night by Ole Miss.
Yeah, I mean, in reality, the best thing that could happen is Florida State take off a little bit with, Florida State play like they did in the second half against Notre Dame and become forced again. And with Mackenzie Milton, maybe that'll help if they can become ranked. Virginia Tech can keep winning. The Coastal had 4 teams lose. That doesn't help Clemson either. So, yeah, and you mentioned Louisville. That was one of the flatter performances of the weekend when they're getting beat up the way they did by a good Ole Miss team, but I don't know if I'm ready to call them great yet.
No, but I thought it was better than what we were expecting, I think, or it was for me. Now, the surprise team for me, and they really haven't played anybody yet, but I think one of the teams is good that nobody's really talking about that could be, I don't know, they could be a big surprise coming out at the end of the year is Texas A&M. What's your thoughts?
I mean, they're going to keep rolling, doing what they're doing. They've got a good team. Jimbo, they took a while to get going on a Saturday against Kent State, but once Haynes King settled in and got, the turnovers were bad, but once he settled in, that defense got going. They're good. They got a pretty good game against Colorado this weekend. That ought to be interesting, and I think they're the one team. If anybody's going to touch Bama in the regular season, they might be the one to try.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm thinking. You wonder if they can do that. Do they have some people scratching their heads at Florida State saying maybe we didn't make the right decision sending Jimbo on his way?
Well, I mean, he's done this before. He's built a team with tons of NFL talent, and so it's not surprising to me in that regard that they're better, at least. And he's surrounded it with 4- and 5-star guys on the defense. It takes a while. I mean, it always does, but I think they've got a chance to really build something there. Yeah. Are they ready for a national championship? Probably not. But are they ready for something more? I think so.
Well, if you could just take somebody that can maybe give some competition out of the West and the SEC would be positive, I would think. Now, the other game that I was really interested in over the past weekend I really enjoyed was Penn State and Wisconsin. It was almost like Wisconsin just kind of ran out of time and ideas.
Well, it was a fist fight for 3 quarters. It was very cool to see jump around in that full stadium and everything there. But Penn State gutted it out. And quite frankly, if Penn State could have connected on a couple of deep shots, that probably would have been a little bit worse. They definitely could have won that game by more points. I think it's a huge win for them. It was an enjoyable game for sure. Definitely previews the Big Ten a little bit. I mean, I still don't think anybody's catching Ohio State, but at least we've got a couple teams, Penn State, Iowa, even Michigan, that could give them something to think about.
Yeah, and the other game that I'm going to be interested in, and I don't know why, other than just the two teams that are playing, number 9, number 10 this week play each other, which is early when you see an interstate rivalry team, Iowa and Iowa State. Those are two teams that nobody talks about that really play some pretty good football.
Oh, they're going to be good. That's a fun game and
yeah.
a fun spotlight for the state of Iowa to have both of those teams undefeated, and that's what they wanted. Iowa State kind of struggled against Northern Iowa a little bit, but yeah, I mean, first time both have been in the top 10. That's a series that Iowa's kind of run, Lanny. They've won the last 4. Matt Campbell's got to beat them before they can think about Big 12 championship and playoff and all those things, and I think it's going to be a fist fight both ways. I like the Cyclones to finally get it done, finally pull that out, but it's going to be a close one.
You know, another big game, App State's going to travel down to Miami. I was expecting more out of De'Aaron King than what I saw. He's not a new man at the helm for the Hurricanes. Were you surprised?
I'm never surprised with Alabama. I was sitting there watching with my son Saturday. He was kind of spotting for me a little bit, which is always fun. We both laughed when they were up 41-10, and I think Alabama fumbled, and like Nick Saban was looking irritated. We just both kind of chuckled, and we're like, "That's Saban. He's always looking for an edge." And yeah, but I expected more out of Miami. They're just not quite on that level. I think it'd be interesting to see how they respond this week against App. That line's a little low, and App ran the ball well last week, so Miami can't spend the week feeling sorry for themselves.
You know, it was a bright spot for Virginia Tech to pick up the win against Carolina, to have, I think, for the ACC to be successful. Some of the teams that need to have success are Virginia Tech, Miami, Florida State, and Carolina, besides just what Clemson's been able to put up. However, it came at the expense of North Carolina. What happened there? I know we were at dinner with in a sports bar that had lots of TVs, and I'm watching that Charlotte Duke upset, and I'm watching this Virginia Tech and North Carolina brewing into an upset. And Mike Brown absolutely looked lost every time they would show him on the sidelines. What do you think happened?
Well, I think it's just they got off to a bad start. You know, Virginia Tech got the crowd into it. They were able to chew up a lot of clock early. North Carolina never got in a rhythm offensively. Sam Howell never had the ball long enough. Running game wasn't there. Obviously, we talked about all those skill guys they lost. They had new skill guys in there in a tough environment. They just didn't have a lot of connection on offense. They still made it a game, but yeah, I mean that was interesting. And then to have Duke lose on top of it, I think the school in the state of North Carolina that probably came off the best this weekend was NC State, who looked very impressive as an awesome running back. And then they get Mississippi State this weekend. And I think that's kind of one of those, make sure you have your TV on that for a little bit. It's going to be a fun game.
They're not putting 45 up against them, I can tell you that.
Well, it's going to be like I said, both of those teams will go at it because Mississippi State needed a 17-point comeback to beat Louisiana Tech.
Yeah. Touch on NFL just a little bit. I guess we'll see, opening up on Thursday night, the Cowboys and the Bucs. I think the Bucs are the team to beat. We'll see just how much this shoulder is really bothering Dak. Does he make it through the year, or are they going to have some issues there?
Well, we'll see. I hope he makes it through the year. I drafted him on one of my fantasy teams, so he better make it. You always look at it that way. No, I think this is a big year for the Cowboys, and the bigger concern for them this week is their offensive line. They might be missing a couple guys against that Tampa Bay.
Yeah, Martin, one of them.
So it's not exact. Yeah. And when you're trying to settle in your quarterback against that, it's not going to be easy. So you want them to be healthy. You want to see Dallas get in the mix there in the NFC East. But most importantly, it's good to have Dak back on the field.
Yeah, and it's good for Dallas. Now the other big one, this will be Urban Meyer's debut on Sunday at 1:00, taking on the Texans. And why do you think the Texans aren't starting Deshaun, or do you think maybe Deshaun Watson says, I'm not playing?
It's a bizarre story. I would assume it's probably both, and that's become a really ugly situation with a lot of moving parts to it. A lot's got to be resolved there, but I'm starting to wonder, Lanny, if he's probably not going to take another snap in a Texans uniform. I'm not going to be surprised.
Yeah, I think you're right. That doesn't surprise me either. The other team I think people are going to have to kind of keep their eyes on a little bit is the Washington football team. Ron Rivera has a different organization he's working for, and even though it's Daniel Snyder, it appears he's got a little more input and control over what he's doing up there, and I like Ron, and I think he makes a difference. I just hope that Snyder doesn't come in and mess it all up.
Well, yeah, and obviously Ron, not only a strong voice, a cancer survivor, a guy that's, commands respect. I remember, when I was living down in Charlotte, Sporting News got to do a dinner type deal where Ron Rivera spoke to us, and he was a classy guy from the get-go. So very glad to see him have success. He's one of those old school guys, and hopefully that continues for Washington. And I think it will with that defensive line they have around Chase Young and the no-frills approach on offense. It can work if it's done effectively.
I think you're exactly right. Bill, glad to get football back underway. Glad to see tons of people in the stands. Like you were talking about, the jump around in Wisconsin was awesome to see that back. Hope you have a great week, and look forward to catching up with you next week.
Hey, no problem, Landy. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. That's Bill. And Bill joins us every week, and it was a great weekend. Now, if we just get a great weekend NFL football to start, we'll take a timeout, come back, and wrap it up here on the bottom line.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with auto owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver, or visit MooneyInsurance.com.
Times convenience stores are more than convenient. They're your neighborhood store, your store. With locations in Lincoln, Catawba, Gaston, Iredell, and Mecklenburg counties, there's one near you. Times convenience stores have the right items at the right price, from snacks, cold drinks, and light meals from the grill, and there's always a special to save you time and money. Times has what you need. Times convenience stores, there's one near you. Regardless of where you're going, there's one on your way. Remember, there's always time to stop by Times. Have you thought about when you would like to retire? One of your major assets is planning for retirement is time, and you lose a little of it each day. The longer you wait to start accumulating capital for retirement, the harder it's going to be. How should you plan for retirement? Start by calculating approximately how much capital you will need at retirement, then estimate how much you will have to put away each year. Finally, carefully choose the investments in which you will invest. Stiefel Nicholas can assist you. Call Fort Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stiefel Nicholas, member SIPC, and the New York Stock Exchange. First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Whether it's a sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily, or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
In the best of times, no one is more deserving of every opportunity, encouragement, and support than the youth in our communities. Parents, teachers, coaches, and sponsors struggle to stretch their budgets to continue help. Communities need a team effort. Times Oil Corporation, a longtime member of the community, established the Times Educational Alliance Mission, or Team Foundation. Since 2011, over $125,000 in grants have been donated in the community. Times Oil and the Team Foundation are proud to be community partners.
And welcome back. As always, we appreciate Bill taking the time to join us, his perspective. Known Bill for a number of years, and I really respect his work, I can tell you that. Let's see here. Let me roll back just a little bit. Milton said, let me back on up. Yeah, there we go. 2 penalties: spearing, ejection, lowering head, plying into the crowd, 5 yards. Yeah, it needs to be adjusted a little bit. Bill Klein, good morning. Richie said never been a fan in seeing a week off in week 2 of the season. Well, with Lenore Ryan, it wasn't their choice. And Bob said, I was surprised to see Lenore Ryan score with less than 30 seconds left and ahead by 34. Score margins have an effect on rankings now and down the road. It's those style points, Bob. And it's not good. There's certainly no place in it, I guess, in high school. But now that you're using those max prep rankings, I'm not so sure. Those may come into play as well. Margin of victory, that kind of thing. Richie said Penn State had less than 50 yards of offense in the first half. They put almost 250 in the second half. Complete reworking of the offense, though. They've gone to this air raid offense, throwing it around. Joe Paul's probably rolling over his grave because that was something they didn't do in Happy Valley. It was a run-first offense. Joe said, I'm surprised USC was not moved up more. It's still Pac-12, Joe. That's where part of it comes from. Richie said, Miami has to not let the Alabama loss beat them this weekend, too. I don't think it will. I think they can be realistic at that. Joe says the App State quarterback is good. He's a journeyman. Started at Clemson, went to Duke, and now at App State. He's only there for 1 year. Andrew said, I totally agree. You can't trust Miami any further than you can throw them. That's very true. Yeah, Andrew said, I bet Clemson wish they still had him also. I think you're right. I'm just a little let down. It wasn't like DJ didn't get playing time last year. I mean, some of it was cleanup duty. I get that, but I still thought I was expecting more, and I would have thought the offensive line would have been better than that also. Rich, I didn't get to see this. I didn't see this. Is Pitt at Tennessee intriguing? It's being called the Johnny Majors Classic, and Jackie Sherrill is going to be like the honorary coin tosser or something like that. I saw a story about that. Let me see if I can find that. There was a story about that, and I didn't really get the tie-in. I think of Jackie Sherrill more with one of the Mississippi schools, and I can't think which one it is. There it is. Sherrill to serve as the honorary Pitt captain, so he must have played his ball at Pitt. Jackie coached with the late Johnny Majors at Pitt. Johnny Majors left Pitt and came to Tennessee, but he will serve as honorary captain for the Pitt Panthers during the game against Tennessee The two teams will play next season at Pitt, so it's a home and home. They're calling the Johnny Majors Classic. He passed away in June of last year. Major served as head coach at both Pitt and Tennessee, including 2 stints at Pitt. If I'm not mistaken, Bill Battle was the head coach at Tennessee when Johnny Majors came in and the crowd were singing on the last few games when Johnny comes marching home again. And that's what they were talking about when Johnny Majors was coming back to Tennessee. Majors guided Pitt to an unbeaten season and a national championship in 1976 before going to Tennessee. But Johnny Majors and here again, I'm trying to remember Jackie Sherrill was at one of the Mississippi schools. Just can't remember which one. This was a story I thought was interesting. Georgia football coach Kirby Smart says Bulldogs experiencing highest spike of COVID-19 despite more than 90% being vaccinated. The part that everybody's got to realize, the vaccine is not stopping you from getting it depending upon the circumstances. You're just hoping that it lessens the effects, and you're seeing it right there. Bob said Clemson's offensive line did not perform well at all. They didn't show up, Bob. They didn't make a show up. They didn't show up. Richie said they made a change on the offensive line a week and a half before the game. Well, obviously it was the wrong change, the way that I'm seeing it. But back to the Kirby Smart, they'll be back in Sanford Stadium this week. He says 3 or 4 players are sidelined with COVID-19, did not identify them, and did not know whether they would be available. Actually, their sports medicine director was diagnosed with COVID-19, and he didn't travel with the team on Saturday. So they're having some issues down there with COVID-19 as well. Richie said, no, they didn't, but he was referring to Carolina. They moved guys into positions yet that hadn't played yet going into the Virginia Tech game. So I don't understand why you would do that. You've had spring, you've had fall camp. How do you not have your stuff in order and kind of know where you're supposed to be and who's supposed to be playing? You can't make those kind of changes, especially in I thought the Carolina game was a huge game too. I felt like that was going to be a good one. I did not expect Virginia Tech to win. I'll be perfectly honest with you. Did not expect them to win. But really, honestly, surprised that they did. Let me give you some of these days in sports. 1894. Thomas Edison, who was employed by the William K.L. Dixon Films, he first filmed the first boxing match at West Orange, New Jersey, and it was a heavyweight exhibition. The first filming. 1905, the Pittsburgh Pirates strand a National League record of 18 men on base and lose to the Reds 8-3. You cannot, I repeat, you cannot leave ducks on the pond. Indians' Bob Feller in 1939, at the age of 20, is the youngest pitcher to win 20 games. Wow, that's going way back there. 1958, Pirate Roberto Clemente ties modern record of 3 triples in a game. 3 triples in a game. That's pretty impressive. Another one that, what a contribution that he made to baseball. 1973, Billy Martin's named manager of the Texans. 1973, Hammerin' Hank sets the record of the most home runs in one league at 709. Hammerin' Hank did that. In 1985, Pete Rose ties Ty Cobb with 4,191 hits. 1989, George Brett gets his 25th 100 hit. A lot of tennis. 2002, Derek Carr's brother David throws for 2 touchdowns as the Texans beat the Cowboys 19-10 to become only the second expansion team to win their inaugural game. The other team was the 1961 Minnesota Vikings. Of course, David Carr went on to have a disastrous career And a lot of folks say it came from just didn't have the right pieces around him. And I'm not making excuses, but there's a whole lot to that. I can tell you that. A whole lot to that. And that's what happens when you're a high draft pick. More than anything, it's what happens when you're a high draft pick. You go usually 2 first-round draft picks will have the best, I think, have the opportunity to have the best career. Mac Jones at New England, because New England had a terrible year, and he's inheriting a great coach. And I say that out loud. And he's also inheriting some really good players and a good organization and a scheme that works. So he should do well. And I think Trevor Lawrence will do well because of the Urban Meyer effect. Now, we'll have to see exactly where that goes. I'm not sure where that will be. Some birthdays. L.C. Greenwood of the Pittsburgh Steelers Steel Curtain was born on this day in 1946 in Canton, Mississippi. We lost him in 2013. How about Maurice Cheeks was born on this day in 1956, played for the Knicks and the 76ers. Gerald Williams played defensive end for the Panthers. He was born on this day in 1963 out of Waycross, Georgia. Let's see if there's any more that I recognize off the top of my head. None's popping out at me. I see we always see a lot of cricket and that type thing, but that's not we're not familiar with cricket as other places are. Nope, that's all I got. Slow day. Sorry about that. For Rember will be back in studio with me tomorrow. Richie said David Carr couldn't stay vertical for games. You're exactly right. He says his brother's better than he is, which is it's a nice thing to say, I would think. Have a great day. Some thunderstorms around. I don't think it's going to last all day, but be careful if you're out and about driving in it. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful Hump Day Wednesday. We'll see you.